What I want you to see here is the story as it unfolds. Abraham has now waited, he and his wife Sarah, they've waited 25 years for a child. Because when God first called them and said, I'm going to build out of you a nation, I'm going to take you to a new land, they were old, they were 70, Abraham himself was 75 years of age, and he was at a place where he no longer could be a progenitor of children. And in fact, Sarah, her womb was dead at this particular point in time, had the inability to produce children as well. And so now we see in this story that Abraham has waited on a promise of God to receive a promised son for 25 years. And now Isaac, this promised son, was a young man. And then something happened that was totally unexpected for Abraham. God came to Abraham and said, hey, Abraham, you know that son I gave you? That son that you waited 25 years for? I want you to take him now and take him up on the mountain, and I want you to sacrifice him to me. Now, why did God do this? Why did God ask Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? The Bible answers the question for us. The Bible says it's because God was testing Abraham's faith. See, to follow God, there will be times that your faith will be tested. And your faith is not tested to prove that faith is not working for you. Actually, God tests your faith to prove that faith really does work in your life, that it's something of value to you. But even though the Bible says that God was testing Abraham's faith, it might be a little confusing to us because we thought Abraham already had faith. Why is God having to test his faith now? Because after all, he waited faithfully for 25 years for Isaac to be given to him. And so he has already demonstrated faith. He left his homeland and his idolatry, and he followed God in faith. So why now would God be testing his faith? It's because God is now about to take Abraham to an entirely deeper, more intimate level of relationship with him. And I will tell you that to go to deeper levels of relationship with God, which we all need and all desire, is going to require testing at deeper levels. And so this test involved letting go, Abraham letting go of something he dearly loved, giving up something he'd waited 25 years for, giving up a promise in some sense that he'd absolutely longed for and he'd waited for diligently. And the test is going to reveal the depth of Abraham's obedience to God, and his trust and confidence in God is going to test whether his faith is real or not. God tests our faith. And how does God test our faith? God doesn't primarily test your faith by listening to what you say. God tests your faith by watching what you do. God does not test your faith simply by what you say. God tests your faith by watching what you do. Will you obey him? Will you do what he asks you to do?